Beneath their feet lies a blazing inferno, burning for thousands of years. Before them stands an endless wall of ocean, isolated completely. A place where survival should be impossible. Yet more than 300,000 people still call it home. The ground shakes, and they rebuild. Volcanoes erupt, and they smile. They do not need paper money. Power is measured in boar tusks. They challenge death itself, diving from towering wooden platforms with nothing but a single vine tied to their ankles. And yet, in one of history's greatest paradoxes, this is the happiest country on Earth. Vanuatu, what is life really like in this extraordinary place? The answer is something you would never expect. Vanuatu is one of the youngest and most geologically dynamic regions in the Pacific. Situated along the Pacific Ring of Fire, most of its islands are actually volcanic peaks that rise from the ocean floor, shaped by millions of years of tectonic movement and repeated eruptions. That volcanic origin has created a remarkably fragmented landscape filled with striking contrasts. On the island of Tanna, vast plains of grey volcanic ash stretch across the base of Mount Yasur, where columns of smoke continue to rise from one of the world's most accessible active volcanoes. Travel north, however, and the island of Afate reveals a completely different scene, with deep blue bays and emerald lagoons surrounding the peaceful capital of Port Vila. Meanwhile, Espiritu Santo, the largest island in Vanuatu, is known for its expansive tropical rainforests, limestone cave systems, and long stretches of white sand beaches, bordered by crystal-clear waters. Crossing a single channel can transform the landscape entirely, from dark volcanic slopes to dense emerald forests, from towering sea cliffs to tranquil lagoons and secluded beaches that feel untouched by the outside world. Before we continue exploring the remarkable islands of Vanuatu, let us know what time it is where you're watching from and which country you're joining us from today. Leave your answer in the comments below. Now, sit back, relax, and let's continue our journey into one of the most remote, dramatic, and breathtaking island nations in the South Pacific. Vanuatu's tropical maritime climate keeps its islands warm, humid, and lush for most of the year. Yet the same abundant rainfall that nourishes its forests also brings the constant threat of powerful tropical cyclones. As a result, Vanuatu exists in a state of remarkable contrast, a land that is both extraordinarily fertile and breathtakingly beautiful, yet shaped by forces of nature that are powerful, unpredictable, and forever changing. This small island nation is home to 9 active volcanoes, making it one of the most geologically active places on Earth. The most famous is Mount Yasur on the island of Tanna, one of the world's most continuously active and easily accessible volcanoes. As night falls, brilliant columns of molten lava burst repeatedly from its crater, lighting up the sky with thunderous explosions that can be heard from many kilometers away. It is one of the very few places on Earth where people can stand right on the rim of an active volcano and witness eruptions taking place almost every day. But Mount Yasser is far from the only volcano. Farther north, Ambrim was once renowned for the two enormous lava lakes inside the craters of Marum and Benbow, among the largest lava lakes ever recorded on Earth. For decades, they cast an eerie red glow across the island until a powerful eruption in 2018 caused both lava lakes to drain almost overnight. Although that fiery glow has disappeared, Ambrim remains one of the country's most active volcanoes, with eruptions occurring year after year. Then there is Lopevi, rising from the ocean as a solitary, perfectly shaped volcanic cone, while Ambaye and Gawa continue to release volcanic gases day and night. These are the Earth's ticking time bombs, and they have never truly gone to sleep. If volcanoes form the skeleton of Vanuatu, then nature is the layer that has transformed this island nation into one of the most beautiful and untouched places in the South Pacific. On Espiritu Santo, tropical rainforests conceal rare natural treasures. Hidden within the endless greenery are the blue holes, natural freshwater pools so clear that every tree trunk and rock on the bottom can be seen. Their distinctive turquoise color is created by underground springs, flowing through layers of limestone before rising to the surface. The island is also home to Champagne Beach, one of Vanuatu's most famous beaches, with powdery white sand, crystal clear water, and a natural phenomenon in which tiny bubbles continuously rise from the seabed, making it seem as though thousands of champagne bubbles are shimmering across the surface. Farther offshore, colorful coral reefs, schools of tropical fish, sea turtles, dolphins, and seasonally migrating whales create one of the region's richest marine ecosystems. The islands are also home to many endemic bird species, giant fruit bats, and forests that have remained almost unchanged for thousands of years. Remarkably, Vanuatu has almost no native large predators or venomous snakes, making its wilderness both untouched and relatively safe for people to explore. Between the red fire of the volcanoes, the deep green of the rainforests, and the vast surrounding ocean, Vanuatu appears as a primordial world that has preserved almost all of its original beauty. Beyond the untouched natural wonders, the world of the Ni Vanuatu unfolds at a slower rhythm. Here, time is not measured by the hands of a clock, but by sunlight and the changing seasons. Across most of the islands, the traditional village remains the center of daily life, where family and work are woven together into something that cannot be separated. As the first rays of sunlight pass through the coconut palms, the village awakens you with its most natural sounds. The gentle brushing of coconut leaf brooms across the ground, the scent of cooking smoke drifting between thatched roofs, and the low murmur of families talking together. There are no car horns and none of the urgency of city life. Homes are simply built from bamboo, timber, and palm leaves, clustered closely together without a single fence separating them. The absence of those fences has shaped a way of life that may surprise you. Children run freely from one home to another, cared for by every adult in the village. To the Vanuatu, a child does not belong only to one mother and father, but grows up under the protection of an entire community. That deep human connection is the shield that has helped them endure every change brought by time. The paradox of this way of life is most visible in ancient villages such as Yakul and Sulphur Bay, located directly beneath Mount Yasur. Amid eruptions that occur regularly throughout the day, thunderous explosions and clouds of grey ash that sometimes darken the sky above them. Daily life continues as though nothing were unusual. Women gather food from the gardens, men repair their homes, and children play beneath the shadow of the fire-breathing giant. The earth violently releases ash, yet that same ash creates fertile basalt soil that nourishes their crops. Nature is both a merciless challenge and a generous gift. When darkness falls, rural Vanuatu sinks into pure silence. There are no electric lights, only a sky filled with millions of stars. This is when the heart of the community, the shared meeting house known as the Nakamal, comes alive. The men of the village gather together and share bowls of kava. Prepared by pounding the roots of the traditional plant, its numbing, peppery taste brings them into a deeply relaxed state, easing the burdens of a long day of work. This is the answer behind the title of the happiest country in the world that is so often associated with this land. After experiencing enough of life's hardships, you begin to understand one simple truth. Happiness in Vanuatu is not measured by income or the speed of development. It is defined by a sense of inner abundance, a deep bond with the community, and the ability to live peacefully beside a volcano that could erupt at any moment. If the space behind every city home opens onto a busy neighborhood, then behind most homes in Vanuatu lies a self-sufficient garden. It is more than a place to grow food. It is the foundation of the entire family's survival. Across the islands, from Tana and Malakula to Espiritu Santo, lush gardens are filled with taro, yams, cassava, sweet potatoes, bananas, coconuts, and many kinds of tropical fruits and vegetables, often only a few minutes' walk from the village. Each morning, people carry machetes and simple tools as they begin the day's work, relying on physical labor and knowledge passed down through generations about the soil, the right time to plant, and how to rotate crops. But the land provides only half of Vanuatu's food. The other half comes from the ocean. At first light, dugout canoes leave the shore, carrying fishermen toward lagoons and rocky reefs to cast nets. fish with lines, or dive for octopus. By late morning, the fresh catch is brought back to the village and shared with relatives and neighbors as part of a long-standing communal way of life. Through this combination of farming and fishing, many villages continue to enjoy a form of abundance without relying heavily on cash. A productive garden, rows of fruit-bearing coconut palms, a canoe always ready to go to sea, and strong relationships connecting everyone in the community. Even so, the cash economy is steadily expanding. At Port Vila Market on the island of Ifate, people bring root crops, vegetables, fruit, fresh fish, and handicrafts to sell, using the money to pay for school fees, fuel, or medicine. Vanuatu also exports copra, the dried flesh of coconuts used to produce oil, along with cocoa, coffee, and especially kava, a crop deeply connected to cultural life and an important source of income for many communities. Tourism is also creating new opportunities. From tours of Mount Yasur on Tanna and diving excursions around Espiritu Santo to visits to traditional villages, more residents are working as guides, operating guest houses, or selling handicrafts instead of depending only on large resorts. This allows them to earn additional income while maintaining greater control over their land and cultural identity. Yet there is one form of wealth that can never be found in a bank or a modern marketplace. In many traditional communities, especially on the northern islands, pigs with curved tusks remain symbols of prosperity and social status. They are raised for years so that the lower tusks can grow into complete circles and are later used as bride wealth in traditional ceremonies or in exchanges governed by customary law. Their value is so great that the image of a curved boar tusk appears prominently on the national flag of Vanuatu, reflecting the Ni Vanuatu understanding of wealth, measured not only in money but also in land, generosity, and one's contribution to the community. What makes Vanuatu truly unique is not only its extraordinary natural beauty, but also the way its people have preserved their cultural identity almost intact. Across generations, although the country has a population of just over 300,000, it is home to more than 130 indigenous languages, making it one of the most linguistically diverse nations on Earth. Pronunciations and customs can change from one neighboring village to the next. Bislama, an English-based Creole language, serves as the bridge that allows communities across the islands to communicate with one another. Yet above all those languages stands custom, the traditional system of customary law and beliefs that has shaped the lives of the Ni Vanuatu for centuries. It governs land ownership, marriage, ceremonies, and the relationship between people and their ancestors. Although most people today are Christians, custom continues to exist alongside Christianity as the country's most important cultural foundation, preserved and passed down from one generation to the next by the elders of each community. You may be astonished to discover that every island here is an artistic world of its own. On the island of Pentecost, you can witness Naghul, also known as land diving, performed during the annual yam harvest. Men tie only 2 vines around their ankles before calmly leaping from wooden towers more than 20 meters high. Their heads must come as close to the earth as possible to ensure a successful harvest. This extraordinary ritual later became the original inspiration for modern bungee jumping. Far away on the island of Ambrim, another remarkable tradition awaits: sand drawing, an element of intangible cultural heritage recognized by UNESCO. Using only a single finger, master artists create intricate symmetrical patterns in the sand that serve not only as storytelling, but also as a symbolic language for passing down ancient knowledge. On the island of Gawa, you can experience the unique musical tradition known as water music. Standing in fresh water, women use nothing but their hands to slap, tap, and glide across the surface, creating rich, rhythmic melodies without a single musical instrument. The extraordinary spiritual life of Vanuatu reaches another level on the island of Tanna with the John Frum movement. This cargo cult, which emerged during the 20th century, centers on the belief in a legendary American figure named John Frum, blending traditional beliefs with influences from the outside world. The coexistence of Christianity, custom, and ancient indigenous beliefs has created a spiritual landscape unlike any other. Every island in Vanuatu contributes its own unique piece to the whole, yet all remain connected by a single guiding principle. They would rather give up modern comforts than ever turn their backs on the heritage of their ancestors. Across the islands, Vanuatu's cuisine has preserved its original simplicity, created from ingredients harvested from the garden or caught in the sea only a few hours before they reach the fire. Everyday meals revolve around root crops such as taro, yams, and cassava, combined with fresh fish, crab, octopus, green vegetables, and coconut. Very little seasoning is used, allowing the natural flavors of the ingredients to remain intact. The most famous dish, regarded as the national dish of Vanuatu, is lap lap. You will see people grate taro into a smooth mixture, place fresh fish or pork in the center, and pour rich coconut milk over everything. They wrap it tightly in several layers of green banana leaves, then place it inside an umu, a traditional earth oven that uses red-hot volcanic stones to cook the food slowly for several hours. When the banana leaves are finally opened, clouds of steam rise into the air, carrying the warm, rich aroma of native root crops cooked over stone. There are also tuluk and simboro, smaller variations made with similar ingredients and cooking methods, all of them relying on what the land and sea provide. But the most remarkable part of the cuisine is not its flavor. It is the spirit of sharing. A large village meal always begins before dawn, when the entire community gathers to grate coconuts, light the fires, and turn the preparation of food into a celebration of togetherness. And when the meal is finally placed before the waiting circle, you will witness an unwritten rule. Absolutely no one begins eating until the guest who has traveled the farthest has received their share. Among villages that still preserve their traditional way of life, Vanuatu is also gradually entering the modern world in its own distinctive way. Smartphones, internet access, and education are slowly reaching more islands, but they have not completely replaced the old way of life. Instead, they exist alongside values that have shaped local communities for generations. The distances between the islands remain one of the greatest challenges, with more than 80 islands scattered across the South Pacific. Transportation depends mainly on boats and aircraft. Small motorboats continue to carry passengers, agricultural produce, and goods between coastal villages, while ferries connecting the larger islands may take many hours or even several days when the weather turns bad. For the more remote islands, air travel is almost the only option. Although flight schedules are often irregular and heavily dependent on weather conditions, from Port Vila, small propeller aircraft continue to connect Tana, Espiritu Santo, Malakula, and many other islands, often landing on short dirt or grass airstrips surrounded by forest or built close to the coast. Even on the larger islands, once you leave the paved roads around Port Vila or Luganville, the routes quickly become dirt tracks, gravel roads, or forest trails that have been used for generations. Even so, technology is gradually narrowing those distances. Mobile phones have become familiar tools, even in many remote villages, allowing residents to check agricultural prices or contact relatives without undertaking journeys that once required several days. Increasing numbers of students leave their villages to study in Port Vila or other major towns, then return home with new knowledge to work in tourism, services, or the public sector. It is not unusual to see a young man using a smartphone to communicate with tourists while also taking part in his village's custom ceremonies, or a family selling produce at the market in the morning before gathering around the fire in the evening to share traditional stories. This is the image of modern Vanuatu, an island nation changing day by day while still striving to preserve the values that have shaped its identity for centuries. But that transformation is also bringing new challenges: climate change, natural disasters, development pressures, and the struggle to preserve cultural identity are raising difficult questions about the future of this small island nation. In Vanuatu, natural threats can come from every direction. Each year, from around November to April, the tropical cyclone season brings torrential rain, violent winds, and high waves. Within only a few hours, coastal villages can be flooded, roofs torn from homes, wharves damaged, and food gardens destroyed. For an island nation that depends heavily on agriculture and fishing, every cyclone damages more than infrastructure. It also directly affects food supplies and livelihoods for many months afterward. Alongside cyclones, volcanic activity remains a constant part of life. On the island of Ambae, the eruption of Vanuatu in 2017 and 2018 covered homes, water sources, and farmland in ash, forcing the government to evacuate the island's entire population. Rising sea levels are gradually eroding low-lying coastlines, while salt water is contaminating freshwater sources and coastal farmland. At the same time, warming ocean temperatures are bleaching coral reefs, reducing marine habitats, and directly threatening the food supplies of many coastal communities. What makes this especially striking is that Vanuatu is not a major contributor to the emissions driving climate change. Yet small island nations like this one are experiencing some of its clearest and most severe consequences. And in a courtroom tens of thousands of kilometers away, representatives of this small island nation stand before international judges, demanding that the world answer for what is happening to islands where the volcanic ash has not even had time to settle. In recent years, modern life has moved closer to many communities across Vanuatu. Smartphones, internet access, and education have opened new opportunities to connect with the world beyond the village, leading increasing numbers of young people to leave their islands to study or work in Port Vila, Luganville, or overseas, before some eventually choose to return. As younger generations use Bislama, English, and French more frequently in education and the workplace, several indigenous languages spoken by only a small number of people are now at risk of disappearing, along with traditional customs and knowledge that have been passed down orally for generations. Another increasingly visible challenge is waste management and environmental protection. In the past, most household waste in traditional villages consisted of organic materials that could decompose naturally or be turned into compost. But with the growing arrival of packaged goods, plastic bottles, and single-use packaging, the amount of non-biodegradable waste has continued to rise, while waste treatment infrastructure remains severely limited. To confront this challenge, Vanuatu became the first country in the world to ban plastic straws, along with single-use plastic bags, polystyrene containers, and several other difficult-to-decompose plastic products. According to statistics from Vanuatu's Department of Environmental Protection, those banned items fell from 35% to less than 2% of the island nation's total waste by 2024, as baskets woven from pandanus leaves gradually replaced plastic bags in markets across the country. When the outside world offers more opportunities, a more modern way of life, and greater material comfort, what still keeps them on these small, isolated islands in the South Pacific? The answer does not lie in material conditions or opportunities for advancement, but in a sense of belonging. For many Vanuatu, home is not simply a place to live. It is a place connected to their ancestors, family, community, and values preserved across generations, something no modern city could ever replace. They also choose to stay because of a simple yet fulfilling way of life. It is a life closely connected to nature, where people still have time for family, community, and the ordinary things that make everyday life meaningful. Although many challenges still lie ahead from nature and modernization, the people of Vanuatu continue to prove each day that development does not necessarily mean losing their identity. Vanuatu may not be the richest, the most modern, or the most populous country in the world, but in the middle of the ocean, this small island nation has revealed a very different way of life, one where people continue to remain connected to their homeland, preserve their cultural identity, and live in harmony with nature. What makes Vanuatu truly remarkable is not its active volcanoes or its untouched beaches, but the way its people define happiness, not by wealth or the pace of development, but by a sense of belonging and an appreciation for life's simple things. From the curved boar's tusk on the national flag, to the wooden towers of Pentecost during each yam harvest, to the smoke rising from the umu during every shared village meal, custom continues to live not in museums, but in the everyday rhythm of life on an island nation in the South Pacific. Every documentary can tell only part of the world's story. If you know other stories, experiences, or perspectives about Vanuatu, we'd love for you to share them in the comments below. Perhaps the most fascinating part of this documentary will be what you bring to it.